Stop fighting compacted clay with endless digging because it is exhausting, damaging to soil life, and completely unnecessary. If you garden long enough, especially in regions with heavy clay, you learn that brute force never wins. The Amish Humus method works because it changes the soil system itself instead of battling it every season. This approach has been quietly used for generations by growers who value long-term soil health, and once you understand it, you will never look at clay soil the same way again. Compacted clay is not your enemy, it is just unfinished soil. Clay soil gets a bad reputation because it is dense, sticky when wet, and hard as concrete when dry. What most gardeners miss is that clay is actually rich in minerals and nutrients. The real problem is structure, not fertility. Compaction happens when tiny clay particles are pressed tightly together with no organic matter to keep them separated. Digging may loosen it temporarily, but gravity, rain, and foot traffic pack it right back down. The Amish Humus method works by creating permanent spacing between clay particles using stable organic matter that does not break down overnight. The Amish Humus method focuses on feeding soil life, not flipping soil. This method is built around adding large amounts of humus-forming organic material to the surface and allowing biology to do the work. Earthworms, fungi, bacteria, and roots create channels that replace digging. Instead of tilling, you layer. Instead of turning soil, you top dress. Over time, the soil transforms from the top down. The key is consistency and volume. Thin applications do nothing in clay. The Amish knew this, which is why they use deep bedding systems and heavy composting year after year. The right materials matter more than most gardeners realize. Not all organic matter creates humus. Fresh grass clippings and kitchen scraps feed microbes quickly, but disappear fast. For clay improvement, you need carbon-rich materials that break down slowly. So, a working ratio is, roughly 3 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen by volume. That means you'll want materials like shredded leaves, aged wood chips, straw, old hay, and partially decomposed manure, and you'll mix those with compost or some green material. For example, a practical garden mix would be, say, 3 wheelbarrows of shredded leaves blended with 1 wheelbarrow of finished compost and about half a wheelbarrow of aged manure. This kind of blend, it creates stable humus instead of just temporary fluff. One of the hardest habits to break, honestly, is digging amendments into clay. The Amish Humus method, though, avoids this completely. What you'll do is spread your organic mix directly on top of the soil at a depth of about 4 to 6 inches for your garden beds, and maybe 6 to 8 inches if you're dealing with problem areas like pathways that you're turning into beds. Rain, worms, and fungal growth will, pull this material downward naturally over time. If you bury organic matter in clay, you end up creating anaerobic pockets that slow decomposition and can actually sour the soil. Surface application, on the other hand, keeps oxygen flowing and the biology active. Timing the process properly accelerates results dramatically. Fall is the ideal time to start, but spring applications still work if done correctly. In fall, apply your humus layer and leave it undisturbed. Freezing and thawing help fracture clay while microbes continue working below. By spring, you will notice the soil underneath is darker, looser, and easier to plant into. If starting in spring, apply the same depth but water deeply to encourage microbial movement. Avoid planting immediately into raw material. Cut small holes down to the soil surface for transplants, allowing roots to find the improved zone gradually. Using living roots multiplies the effect of humus. Plants are not passive occupants of soil. Roots actively break compaction and feed microbes. After your first humus application, plant cover crops or deep-rooted vegetables whenever possible. Daikon radish, clover, and rye are excellent choices. A practical example is seeding crimson clover at a rate of about 1 ounce per 100 square feet into your humus layer. As roots grow and die back, they leave channels that improve drainage and aeration. This combination of humus and living roots accelerates transformation far faster than organic matter alone. You know, avoiding common mistakes really keeps this method working for the long haul. Honestly, the biggest mistake gardeners make is stopping too soon. Clay soil, well, it takes time to rebuild its structure. Sure, one application helps, but it's that yearly top dressing that truly locks in the results. Another mistake is compacting the soil again by walking on beds. Once biology starts working, it's really important to protect it. Use permanent paths and, never work clay when it is wet. If you squeeze a handful and it forms a slick ribbon, just wait. Patience here prevents years of setback. Real results show up in water movement and root depth. Within 1 to 2 seasons, you'll notice water soaking in instead of pooling. Roots will grow deeper, even in crops that previously struggled. Carrots stop forking, tomatoes develop stronger stems, and beds warm faster in spring. These are signs of real soil change, not just surface improvement. Gardeners using this method often report needing less irrigation and fewer amendments because nutrients cycle more efficiently in humus-rich soil. This is how serious gardeners build soil that lasts decades. The Amish Humus method is not trendy or flashy. It is slow, deliberate, and proven. It replaces endless digging with biological partnership and, honestly, turns compacted clay into one of the most productive soils you can garden. Once you commit to layering organic matter, protecting soil structure, and feeding life consistently, the fight ends. The soil starts working with you instead of against you. If this guide helped you rethink how you handle clay soil, make sure you subscribe to Evergreen Garden for more no-nonsense gardening knowledge that actually works. Share this with another gardener who is still breaking their back with a shovel and help them build soil the smart way.